What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Down Once More. I'm your host, Matt, and this week it is time for the annual look back at my Apple Music replay. What I was loving this year, what I was listening to, maybe a few surprises in there. If you follow us on Instagram, nothing will be a surprise because I shared it to my story, got reshared by a couple artists that were featured on it, so that was kind of neat. So, plug for the Instagram at Down Once More Pod. Go give us a follow there. Hopefully, you enjoyed last week's episode with Ella, where we talked about kind of fandom and Taylor Swift from Ella over at Diary of a Swiftie Pod. Go give them a follow too if you're a Swiftie or want to hear just some of their analysis, deep dive into the music. They do a pretty good job of it and balancing fun and not getting too in the weeds, but still analyzing some of the themes. Analysis has been a hot point on the podcast for a while. But without any further ado, let's get into my Apple Music 2025 replay. Now, is there part of me that thinks it's a little odd that we do the replay with that ends at November? You don't get anything that I listen to in December. A little bit, but I get it. You want to close out the year with it, not start out the year with looking back. It's a new year, new music. I listened, according to Apple Music, to 23,069 minutes this year. Not too shabby. And some big switch ups. This year, my top artist was Jorge Rivera Herranz, the creator, writer of Epic the Musical. I'm actually sporting, I just got delivered this week, some Epic the Musical merch, Odysseus' tour. The back has ship. All the places that he stopped along his journey from Homer's Odyssey and from the music of Epic the Musical. They did their most recent merch drops, their first ever merch drops. Have some cool stuff going on. Check that out if you are an Epic the Musical fan. I didn't start listening, according to the replay, to Epic until May. So kind of impressive that that kind of peaked to my top artist that I listened to. Had 2,377 minutes. Close second, though, was Joey Contreras at 2,190 minutes, the creator of In Pieces, the musical. Brad and I talked about their live musical from Joe's Pub that they put out the pro shot of that we absolutely loved. Big fan of In Pieces, and shout out Brad. He introduced me to that album, and it kind of, you'll see throughout the replay, was a big album for me this year. Third artist was the cast of Epic the Musical. So Epic was an epic replay this year, if you will. Fourth artist was Antonio Cipriano, who was featured on the In Pieces musical highlights album, as well as some other songs that just he did that we'll get into later that were favorites of mine this year. And then my fifth artist was Anthony Warlow from the Jekyll and Hyde The Complete Works musical album. One of my favorite classic musicals that I discovered this year. Early 2000s, late 90s, I believe, is when that one was put together, created. I just fell in love with it this year. One of my top musical albums I listened to this year. Really loved that musical. In the song front, my top song was Bloom from In Pieces musical, the highlights album by Joey Contreras, written by him, performed by Antonio Cipriano and Stephanie Torrens. Just a beautiful song about kind of an awkward first date and giving life a chance and just kind of getting out of your own way a little bit and letting things happen and going along for the ride. Absolutely love it. Beautiful song. If you haven't heard it, you should definitely check it out. In Pieces was very heavily highlighted on my top songs. Ohio was number 2, also from In Pieces. Next up was Pretty Face by Hoodie Allen. I was really into that for a time of the summer. Kind of a summer song, a summer vibes song. Then Get Up and Go from In Pieces, a Classroom Duet from In Pieces. I am going top 10 for songs. Then was Legendary from Epic the Musical, one of my favorite songs off those albums. And I've talked about Epic the Musical at length. I'm not going to dive into it again here. I did my tier list of each of the kind of sagas because it's broken out into, I believe, 8 different sagas that vary from like 3 songs to 6 songs a piece. Beautiful work by Jorge Rivera Herranz of concept albums. Check those out. If you haven't, go check out the previous episodes where I've talked about it and my tier list of them. I dive a little more in depth with them. So Legendary was number 6. Then Not Sorry for Loving You, another absolutely beautiful song from Epic. Then I've Been from Next to Normal, one of the most heartbreaking songs from the musical and one I absolutely love. Then Everybody Hates Me by Cheer Up Dusty, and Why Do I Stay by Sky Daddy and Alex Cade. I actually love that song. So those round out my top 10 songs. My top album was In Pieces. New Musical Highlights, the deluxe edition of the album, has a few extra songs that I absolutely love. If you haven't listened to it, I highly recommend you check it out. I think this musical is going to be taking off and is doing some amazing things. Joey Contreras and team, like, I am very excited to see where this comes. Brad and I have talked, we might need to make a pod field trip when it makes its full stage debut, because it's gonna happen. It's a beautiful musical, tells a beautiful story. It needs to happen. Maybe my first trip to New York City. So we'll see. No pressure, Joey Contreras. We're counting on you. Get me out of Nebraska. Next up was Next to Normal, another absolutely musical that we talked about the pro shot on here, which now you can watch the uncensored version on Broadway HD, which I love it. There's some things you'll listen to Brad and I's review that we talk about on there that I prefer the original Broadway cast album over the West End album. But Casey Levy and Jack Wolf, absolute stellar standouts and highlights on the West End pro shot and cast album, if that's your jam. Next up was Beetlejuice, the musical. And then Black Friday, the StarKid Productions musical that Brad and I reviewed in November. That was my 4th top album that I listened to. And then 21 Chump Street, one that Sage actually introduced me to when we were talking about top musical albums on here. From Lin-Manuel Miranda, one of the first things they did. Anthony Ramos is featured on it as well. A lot of fun. Check it out. It's about 20 minutes long total, 5-6 songs. A lot of fun. My top genre, no surprise to any of you who listen to the pod, was soundtracks, specifically musical soundtracks, obviously. Now, I did have a few milestones that was highlighted. There were 5 artists that I was a top 500 listener to. Joey Contreras, Antonio Cipriano, Anthony Warlow, J. Robert Spencer, who played Dan in Next to Normal, the original Broadway cast, so that's why he's featured on there, and Anson Bagley, also from the In Pieces musical. So 3 In Pieces musical representation, top 500 listener right here. Top 1,000 listener for Alice Ripley, who played Diana in Next to Normal, the original Broadway cast. So let's take a look and break it down by month, because I always find that interesting. Maybe you won't, but the point of this episode is to show you, hey, one, I'm not all talk. Musicals are my life and what I listen to and they're my safe place, what I go back to when I'm struggling, when I need something to pick me up, to help me feel something. Musicals are where I turn to the majority of the time, and I feel like there's something so strong and powerful about musicals, and so that's what you're going to see reflected here. So in January, my top artist, Alice Ripley, original Diana from Next to Normal, and top song was actually Why Do I Stay by Sky Daddy and Alex Cade. In February, it was Aaron Tveit, and that was a little bit of a combination, I think, of Next to Normal and Moulin Rouge, the Broadway cast recordings, because Aaron Tveit, fantastic in Next to Normal, also fantastic in Moulin Rouge. Moulin Rouge album was just outside my top 5. I think it was 6 or 7 in there. But the top song of February was Everybody Hates Me by Cheer Up Dusty. Nice, fun, kind of pop punk song for you. In March, Beetlejuice dominated it with Alex Brightman as my top artist, who played Beetlejuice on the original Broadway cast recording. And one of the first songs from that musical, The Whole Being Dead Thing, by Alex Brightman, as my top song for March. That was just prep to seeing it live, and then actually seeing it live and loving it and listening to the album more. April is where Joey Contreras first shows up as my top artist of the month, and Bloom as my top song of the month. May, Joey Contreras going back to back with, and then a classroom duet from the In Pieces musical as my top song of the month. Another one of my favorites. There are so many bangers on that album and just so many emotional ones that tell a beautiful story. Highly recommend it. I'm going to say it probably 5 more times. Listen to In Pieces if you haven't already. June is where Jorge Rivera Herranz first shows up as my top artist, and Legendary from Epic as my top song on there. That's from the Wisdom Saga. Opens up the Wisdom Saga, actually, if I'm not mistaken. In July, Anthony Warlow makes his first appearance from the Jekyll and Hyde album. My top song that month was Pretty Face by Hoodie Allen. That was the month I listened to it. I discovered it, and then I had like a 5-hour drive ahead of me, so I probably listened to it about 20 times on that drive. I'm not even lying. It's like 2 minutes long. Quick listen, catchy as hell. Samples Beautiful Soul by Jesse McCartney, so you can't go wrong with that. And then August, Anthony Warlow went back to back, and Alive, which is probably my favorite song from Jekyll and Hyde, the complete work. So check that out. Not in the Broadway version of it. It was reworked and taken out. So just a note there. Alive, one of my favorite songs, not on there. In September, Jorge Rivera Herranz appears again. My top song that month was Amazing Grace, How Silent the Sound by Antonio Cipriano. This was from actually a series that he did called A Week Away, which was a spinoff of a Netflix movie. And it's not my jam. It's a little bit of a more religious show. But this song, as someone who grew up in the church and religion, the emotion in this song, because he is singing this as someone who is feeling neglected and just rejected. He's hearing everyone talk about how amazing God is. He's like, I feel like he never showed up for me. I was always on my own when I needed help. I didn't have it. So everyone's singing about Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. And then his take on it is just, it's so silent. Like the silence is deafening, never hears it. It is a heartbreaking song. It is powerful. Even if you don't have any like religion, faith, anything like that, I think it's still a beautiful song. And Antonio Cipriano has an amazing voice. So it's worth a listen, in my opinion. October, All Time Low was my top artist, and that was kind of, they dropped a new album. I saw them in concert, so they were front of mind. But my top song was actually What the Heck I Gotta Do from 21 Chump Street. Absolutely love that song. Anthony Ramos is perfect in the lead role in that little mini musical. And then November, which is where the replay closes out, Star Kid Productions was my top artist, and What Tim Wants from Black Friday was my top song. So a little telling, and you might have guessed some of those things based on what I've talked about throughout the year. I've talked about it before. I prefer Apple Music, one, because I'm fully integrated in the Apple culture, but also they're one of the best ones that pay artists for streaming. It's always best if you can support artists by buying merch, actually buying the albums on iTunes, buying physical albums, like buying things directly from the artist store is going to be the best way to support them, or going to see them live. And even going to see them live, depending if it's a musical artist, like the venue is taking a ton of that. Merch is where they make a ton of money. So supporting your favorite artists, buying merch, actually buying hard copies, physical copies of their albums. And then if you're going to stream it, ones like Apple Music and even Amazon Music are going to be some of the best ones that pay artists for streaming. Apparently Spotify is one of the worst for how much they pay the artist per stream. So you're supporting these artists, both by like sharing their content. Like even that goes a long way. Maybe you don't have a ton of money to spend and go out there, but share their content, spread the word. That goes so far. Like even in me as a podcast, like I'll fully admit it. I do not do much to promote this, partially because life is crazy. I do not have time. And promoting it isn't necessarily something I enjoy much. And I know that hinders my growth, but even just like word of mouth and you guys sharing it to people, I've heard that you've shared it with people, they've listened. That stuff means the world to me and I really appreciate it. And that's awesome to hear. And so appreciate all of your support. Throw in a like on the YouTube videos. Those of you who have been commenting on them, that goes a long way and is great to help boost engagement for podcasts, music, artists, everything like that. So do those things. Keep doing those things. Support artists who are doing out there doing the thing. Screw AI. Don't go to AI music. I've been trying to work on some branding and rebranding the podcast, logo, graphics, things like that for a while. I need to just go out and try to find ads. I refuse to do it through AI. Want to find a local artist, something like that. And again, I just need to put the work in. My actual job and life has been crazy, so that's hindered it. But I digress. Basically, that's what I listened to this month. Some absolutely amazing musicals, new just concept albums, like new music is coming out all the time, and it is amazing. Jeremy Jordan was part of a new concept album I haven't gotten a chance to listen to much, I believe it's called Deathless. I will verify that really quick. But see, this is where got Amy and all these other people yelling at the screen, like, do the work ahead of time. I didn't plan on going yet. Sometimes I just go where the wind takes me when I'm recording. It is called Deathless by Zach Zadek. It's a cast recording of a new musical they want to put out. It features Jeremy Jordan, Sarah Kays, a lot of other artists. What I've listened to is beautiful. There's also one that I've been following on Instagram. I'm not sure how it came across my algorithm, but it did. And it's Sunday Brunch, the musical. And they have a single out called The Cult Song, which is hilarious and catchy. And I highly recommend checking that out as well. Another small production kind of taken off that I really enjoy. And I'm excited to see more things where it goes. So support artists, support your local theater, go out, do these things, support these people who are putting themselves out there, their time, their effort for your enjoyment. And some of it, like for me with the podcast, I've talked about on here before, I don't do it for the followers. Well, I don't do it for the followers and the attention. I do it because I like talking about something that I am passionate about and sharing my passion with others. And when I'm able to connect to people who have the same passions, it's amazing. So that's why I like bringing on like Sage and Amy, like new people on here to have those conversations, and even Ella to talk about Taylor Swift. Even though I'm not like a diehard Swiftie or anything like that, I appreciate what she does, and I appreciate those people who love and support these musical artists so much. So hopefully, this was a little bit of a mini episode and just kind of a programming note for the rest of the year. I don't know what exactly it's going to look like. I've had some wrenches come up and shit kind of hitting the fan with a few things out of my control in my personal life that is just taking a ton of energy and very stressful and stuff for me. So it's kind of a one-man show on the podcast. I might need to, around the holidays, just press pause. We might need to pick back up in 2026. So make sure you're following on Instagram, put notifications up there, programming notes. But if you don't see new episodes, most likely I didn't die. But don't worry, should be coming out eventually. Just got some stuff gotta take care of in the real world, in real life. Because don't live chronically online. Enjoy content online, but make sure you're paying attention to the things that matter. Your family, your friends, your loved ones. Do things that are going to fulfill you and give you more energy instead of constantly sapping it. Take care of your mental health this time of the year. Holidays can be really hard for people, especially when the weather starts getting more bleak too. So take care of yourself. Look out for yourself. I appreciate all of you as we come to wrap up. If this is the last episode of 2025, thank you all for coming along for the ride. Like, we've had huge podcast growth this year too, partially due to doing Love Island recaps, which almost broke me. And recently, the past couple weeks, a few of my Love Island recaps have been the most viewed videos, which is wild to me because it's over. I don't know if people are rewatching it or what's going on, but a few of those episodes have been taken off, which is weird. But thank you all who've been along for the ride. Like I said, support your favorite artist. If you know someone you think would like it, share the pod, post it on your story, share the link, all that fun stuff. I appreciate it. It means a lot. Love seeing the support. Love chatting with you guys. Those of you who are DMing, love talking about your passions too, talking in the comments. Appreciate all your time. Thank you all to all the new listeners. Love you. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and don't forget to go down once more. Later.